I never left you.
You didn't go down in that fight like you were supposed to, knowing they'd kill you for it.
I did that for you. So you would know what your old man is made of.
Well, man chose his ego over a lifetime with his son, that's what I know.
It wasn't ego. It was living up to a code. Being a man means loving the feel of my fist in someone else's face. It means waiting for them to hit the ground and knowing that I put them there. And yeah, okay. Maybe I put that at the top of my list, and maybe it cost me everything, including you. But you do the same thing.
I'm sure everyone has gone through this process, a moment in your life where you reject and dismantle the old narratives that you build your entire sense of identity on after traumatic experiences or a sudden moment of deep, lingering emotional pain. In a way, you could say a hole is punctured into the old narratives so they all cease to be convincing. After binge watching Daredevil Season 3, which is amazing by the way, the first 2 episodes are really slow and a bit boring, but when it finds itself, it really doesn't stop. But one of the underpinning concepts from the show that fascinated me is the exploration of memory as a process. Season 3 connects with Season 1 in a far more tighter relationship than with Season 2 because here it continues to explore the notion of how memory shapes us as individuals. Although this specific time, rather than exploring how memories create us, it explores how memory breaks us.
Everyone in Matthew's life abandoned him, including me.
A memory is a discrete unit of meaning that circulates in your mind. It processes knowledge that allows us to understand ourselves and our relationship with others. Because those specific circulating memories construct a continuity that allows us to figure out our own narratives. As I quote from Georges Louis Bourget, I think I pronounced that right, from Foon's The Memories, so to think is to forget a difference, to generalize, to abstract. In the overly replete world of Foon's, there were nothing but details, which is from a story about a man who can't construct his own sense of cohesive self because he's cursed with being able to remember every single thing. And this is important in understanding that when we build our own sense of self-identity and narrative, we unconsciously pick and choose specific experiences and memories in order for it to be cohesive. This is called Platonic thought, the ability to think abstractly with our memories in order to connect them. As much as people like to think about how we can't escape the past, remembering is still an active process, adapting bits and pieces from Born Again to Guardian Devil. For this season, we finally see the psychological decline of Matt Murdock after years of so much toll. The once smiling optimist who struggled to reconcile with his private, social and religious identity is now trapped by a life that has punished him for absolutely everything. And this is articulated in a lot of ways in the show, his relationship with Sister Maggie, the whole Karen Page storyline, but I think my favorite, and the one I found the most poignant, are his scenes with his father. As he becomes more and more emotionally unstable, he has dialogue and arguments with avatars of his memory, projecting the man he hates the most and the man he loves the most. Through the storytelling method, we see his father is no longer an emotional symbol of where he draws his strength from, but where he draws his weakness. And it's a really interesting way to show the natural course of how we use memories to justify our present positions. The new Matt Murdock never wears his red sunglasses, so he literally doesn't see the world in a rose-tinted way, but rather with eyes that are blind but openly deceives others in believing that he's not. This is important because it shows that as complex human beings, we can unconsciously be dishonest with ourselves. Without being deliberate, we can have a reconfiguration of the past that creates a distorted outlook with ourselves and others. Comparatively, this is also reflected with Poindexter. Unlike Matt, he is conscious of this process, because he's a sociopath who struggles with empathizing with people and thus requires a routine to organize his own sense of emotional cohesion.
How about something like, I'm sorry, that sounds hard.
I'm sorry, that sounds really hard.
The show constantly reminds you that he has to be mindful in organizing his life. Where Matt circulates himself with memories and voices of people that are important to him, Poindexter listens to old therapy tapes to reconnect himself with an old narrative that provided him cohesion. But a disparity is still presented in that connection. Both characters show that we don't embody what our life leads us to, but we follow the patterns, and it's where our internal structures are built on. Both Daredevil and Poindexter are sort of darkened versions of each other, an empathetic person who tries to be cold and emotionless, and a cold, emotionless person who tries to be empathetic. But they both converge to show that, like Funes, the book I mentioned before, the past are the powers and conditions that exist, but memories are subjects to us. and it's important to recognize that in order to control our own sense of temporal horizon, we have to control that. What saves Matt's soul in the end and what allows him to return to his sanity is a choice. This whole season, his whole position in life has given him all the justifications needed to kill Kingpin finally, and even after all the corruption, manipulation of the system, and murder of good people, in the heat of the moment, Matt refuses, and it's unbelievably cathartic. Even though this villain, which we grow to hate, doesn't die, it's even more powerful that Matt screams,
God knows I want you, but you don't get to destroy who I am. You will go back to prison, and you will live the rest of your miserable life in a cage, knowing you'll never have Vanessa.
Because for the first time, the character, after almost 13 hours of watching him moaning and descending into self-pity, he becomes truly aware, truly conscious of all the unconscious dishonesty and reforms himself in a moment of declaration. He evolves from being Daredevil to becoming the man without fear. Where Dex falls, Matt rises, because no matter how drastic our reconstructions are, the guiding star in the end is our conscience. Daredevil Season 3 shows us that, although we are subjects to the past, we still have agency. But this agency has stakes because the connecting tissues between authenticity and our natural trajectory is always in tension. We generalize, we connect, we build. Our conscience distorts our memories as our memories distorts our conscience. And it's fascinating that this season of Daredevil chooses to take these bold, uncomfortable, introspective ideas to identify what truly is at stake when it comes to responding to trauma, which is our conscience. I hope I made sense. I kind of rushed this video because I was just like, I needed to get the stuff out of my head. I'm sorry to waste your time, guys.